Good evening. Welcome to From the Left. There's ambulance there. Welcome to From the Left with Stephen Leon. Tonight's show is a special one. I've got Mike Webb sitting to my left, and he is a former Republican candidate here in Virginia's 8th District. He has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to what's been going on in the inner workings of politics, and we're on the same page with our logical constitutional disdain about the incumbent Don Beyer. And a shout out to the GCD network for hosting the show. And last week I wanted to throw this out there. I did not get the memo that they were celebrating Emancipation Day in DC, which also is tied into ranked choice voting in DC state. I was in DC yesterday. No, I'm sorry, last week. I did my show live. I started out at President's Park, and then I went to DC Council, and there's like fireworks and sirens that they have it blocked off. I'm like, what is this all about the whole time? And I'm asking people across the street if they support DC statehood. So I look like a fool. I look like a straight fool. I get home like around 11 o'clock. I got home before that, but 11 o'clock I'm doing some other stuff, and then I get a notification from ABC7 saying that's what that was. I was like, oh man. So I quickly added a few little subtitles to address that. If I'm going to be, I didn't get the memo. I didn't know there's a lot of information out there. There's so many days going on out there in DC, or just anything to keep track of anything. So it's kind of serendipitous or something, you know what I mean? But you can't help but notice. I was laughing at myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, like here I'm asking, what day is it? The look on my face is hilarious. Yeah. So that was an honest mistake, you know what I mean? So I will laugh at myself before you can. So let's get into it. Mike, he hit me up through email a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of collaborating, and at that time, like, he was willing. I put an ad out about getting signatures and paying. It's still out there now, and I was thinking about, I don't know, even if there's not a law, what would that look like if I paid for someone to work for my campaign? I can't donate to anyone else's or anything. You can buy a T-shirt for me if you want. So I thought about it. Turns out, Mike ended up doing some other things. And did you withdraw or disqualify? Did you not get the signatures?
No. I actually still it's only running for independent. The state board of elections, they had some confusion. They thought I was running as a Republican again. So they still are trying to say that. Actually, right now we're going back and forth. Collecting signatures to run as independent.
So you can run as independent. Yeah, you can change your status, can't you?
Oh yeah.
And even then, like if you get primaried out, then which is not the case.
No.
You can get written in if you get enough. That's what Joe Biden did in New Hampshire. You know what I mean? That was kind of like there was this big fuss when the candidates came through on the left that what could we do? They weren't going to host primaries. It's kind of a tradition for both parties since Ford to just give the incumbent the nomination blindly.
Sure.
So, but it's really cool. This district has more independent or non-affiliated candidates running than primary candidates. So go look on Ballotpedia, Google Virginia's 8th District, and you see me, this guy named David Kennedy, and then someone else named, I think, Jeremy Olmec.
Sure.
And then the incumbent, Don Beyer, no challengers, and then Hirat Krishnakim, that creepy, anti-Semitic, weird MAGA apex guy. You know what I mean? He's just weird. Like, I don't know how. So anyway, so that's something to say that even before the primary, there are more independent candidates, and you've never seen. Mike has been more immersed. Me personally, professionally, I've taken a lot of stock and investment, research and development into politics the last 5 years. Mike, on the other hand, has been here for
forever.
Yeah,
literally forever. Yeah,
you ran as an independent in 2016, right?
I ran as I started off as a Republican.
Okay.
Started as a Republican. I lost the convention, and then decided I was going to try to get on the ballot as an independent. Ended up becoming a write-in campaign because the Republican primary the convention was in May. You have May to June to get 1,000 signatures. Very, very difficult.
January,
even more difficult.
To the third Thursday.
Well, I wasn't running as an independent until after the convention. So I'd gone through the convention politics, and then I basically had to, after the convention, make the decision I'm going to go forward as an independent. So then you just had that kind of short space between May and June to get the signatures. the one thing that I noticed was that back in May of 2016, it was easier to engage people then than after pandemic. There was a big change in terms of engagement with people.
Just people's demeanor.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And energy about it.
oh yeah, oh yeah. There was an interesting vibe through pandemic. A lot of people were just scared to go anywhere near.
A lot.
To
Yeah. Run through the pandemic.
But there was an opportunity, particularly at farmers markets, because you had a line
Cold there.
to get in. People were crammed up in lines
Yeah.
to get into the bed, but then they were separated outside. But now you got a captive audience. You could just walk up and down that line, get signatures. It was very, very efficient actually for candidates.
Wow.
But then
People sign they wouldn't worry about wiping down your pen or something.
no, some people would, but generally no, they would had nothing else to do and they would just sure I'll sign.
Oh, wow.
But then after pandemic, now you have a little bit more of that kind of unapproachability.
Yeah, when I go out there, I got 16 signatures after working a couple hours at the courthouse farmers market. And I just, I'm gonna go ahead and just some people are just gonna have their attitude about it. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
I did some canvassing when I was younger. I sold pizza coupons like in my teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done cold calling, vinyl decks, windows and siding or something. But it's really just it's a law of average. I asked 10 people, 2 people may sign.
Sure.
Most likely too, just no matter what it is. Some people just don't vote, or they don't know who I am, or they're just too busy. Maybe they're hungover.
Sure.
Maybe they got up something. So, and I just hammer it out, just go boom, boom. And then next thing you know, I have 16 signatures. As long as the wind doesn't take them. That happened to me last Saturday. It also had some guys screw me over too.
Yeah.
I put on social media this guy named Jermaine Jones. I don't want to make this video about him, this podcast about him, but really, yeah, he just ended up a lot. The loss was like $547 and about 200 signatures, and then the 20 that I lost in the win. So I'm starting all over. So I get it. But let's talk about buyer.
Yeah.
We have 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, everything that I've found about buyer is media available, right?
Yeah.
And I've plastered every single post. And I've created this chain of and just creative memes and things that are totally based on the facts. But things like behind the scenes. Like you're claiming you're in court right now.
Yes, yeah, I'm in court right now. Yeah,
claiming that he bribed somebody.
Offered a bribe to get them not to run for Congress.
When was this?
This was in 2016 election. 2016.
And did that person get the job?
No, refused the job. But now a lot of it is, I guess, like the structure of how you offer a federal job. We have a merit system process.
What was the job?
It was a procurement analyst with Defense Intelligence Agency.
Okay, so he had some insider knowledge.
Now, this is why this is one of the suspicious factors of it, is that Defense Intelligence Agency has a subordinate organization, the Defense Embassy and Consulate Services. So they are kind of under, there's an established relationship between DIA and also the embassy, kind of part of defense. That you had Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, that you had Don Beyer, former U.S. ambassador to Switzerland, involved inside this. That just raises a little bit of a question. But the most interesting thing about this was that the candidate never had applied for the job. You do not get a federal job if you do not apply for it. They do not just say, "Hey, Steve, would you come and work?"
But he still offered.
Yeah, but that the offer was extended makes it suspect, because if a candidate accepts the job, they now effectively have to come out of the race. You cannot, under the Hatch Act, you can't be a candidate and a.
That's almost like if you go to, first thing off the top of my head, you see a woman standing there who looks like a prostitute, and then you're going to go you're going to go obtain her services, but then see a cop, and then she sees the cop. No, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure there's some. I mentioned this earlier before we got on today that that's essential. Lincoln essentially bribed. Bribe's not the right word, because the people that voted to get the margin that was needed to pass Amendment 13.
Yeah, sure.
For people that are already inclined, have you ever seen that movie with Lincoln that Spielberg did?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, love that. The way that he would remember at the end when there was that, I can't remember his character's name, but he was very hesitant, and Lincoln had talked to him personally and kind of got into his psyche, knowing that maybe like his dad wasn't around or whatever. He bonded with him about his dad. I was saying Lincoln was saying that his dad wasn't a kind man, but had a rough moral urge for fairness, which is very quaint or whatever, right? So, but then when it came to do the vote, this little guy stands up and he's like, I said, and then he just projects, you know what I mean? And like, and then when he sits down, all that rush of emotion, it's crazy. It's just to be a representative like that and carry that much soul or life, the dynamics of representing people's livelihoods. My point of all that is, he had offered, I don't think he offered that character, that actual real life character, a job, but throughout the movie, you saw how they had hired other people to do that. But laws have changed. I'd have to dig deep. I know one of the things that I'm supporting is the American Anti-Corruption Act, where you can't do that. But just because there is no law for it, doesn't mean that you should do it. Like even I was kind of toying, like, should I pay you to get me signatures?
Sure.
And even if there's no law for it, and how does that look? I mean, it gets us both on the ballot. That's cool. That's neat.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, what's the crime in it? But how would people that I'm representing on the left feel about that when we don't agree on everything?
Yeah. And I'm like, we have a perception problem, and this also falls into the law. In the law, we have this thing, prosecutorial discretion. A prosecutor, there's so many crimes out there. Say that he knew about 100% of the crimes that were going on. There would probably be too many criminals for the prosecutor to actually prosecute. There's a very practical reason why you're not going to do something. However, still the law tries to strike a balance. Misdemeanors, felonies. If you're going to be doing anything, felonies probably big.
Well, that's why we're trying to get the banned Congressional Stock Trades Act, where the precursor to that was the Stock Act that Obama had signed. And you see, if you read it and you've listened to the promotions of it, the idea is to prevent stock trading and insider stock trading. But now it's got to the point now that people want all of the stock trading gone from elected officials. Abigail Spanberger has been an advocate. She's purple. That's what I like about Abigail Spanberger. She called out Biden right away when I'm just pretty much adopting and developing my own platform, independent platform, which of course is going to have some ideologues from left or right, but mostly the fiscal responsibility from the right. So it was cool to see how we didn't. She's right. Where there's an article dated back in 2001 that we didn't elect Joe Biden off of FDR-esque type of mandates. You know what I mean? We just wanted him to put us back on the Paris Trade Accords and Paris Trade Accords. Paris, I'm in intellectual property. We have a PCT. We have patent cooperation. The Paris Accords, climate change, right? So he gets back into stuff in that and just do that on day one and just try to put things back into balance. But he overstepped his mandate, is what Abigail Spanberger was doing, which is probably one of the reasons why Liz Cheney had seen that and helped her campaign in the 2022 election. So I mean, that's the thing about it. I'm sorry.
I think that one of the big questions is when you give somebody a thing of value. This is kind of the legal term of art. A thing of value. I give you a thing of value. At what point is it a bribe?
And they offered it.
Oh yeah,
they were undercover cops, and I offered to sell drugs to somebody, and I'm just there. Like, that gets weird. Like,
and that's an interesting thing about prosecuting a bribe is that I can prosecute. I don't have to prosecute both, but I can prosecute the person that took the bribe the person that offered. It did both bribe. If I'm in a sting operation, obviously the government.
And that's her case that had offered that job.
Sure. And
to suppress that's kind of like, I was talking Microsoft.
Sure.
They had suppressed competition to just to monopolize. So it's, and I've said that about Pyre, where some of it he just doesn't have to do because people just get caught up in the machine of politics and they just pick whoever's on the ballot, especially in this district. It's always been, we've been blue since Kennedy. That's fine. I'm from the left. That's fine. But we're taking it too far. Byers, his positions on AI, it's really, the man is older. You know what I mean? Our cognitive abilities, our energy, my metabolism is slowing down. I'm in my mid-40s. You know what I mean? That he goes back to school. And then when he tells Washington Post Live that he thinks that people's jobs are existential and he doesn't worry about them as much. Wow. And you're just, I see that he's on AP, he circulates the same article throughout these major outlets, and then nobody thinks about it twice. And whether this live stream is paid media, I pay a little bit of money, it's within my budget.
Sure.
And I get to control my platform that way. And that doesn't mean I'm not open up to, to interviews in other places too. If you were on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes. Yeah.
This is hilarious. Google Jimmy. I could get into detail, but I don't want to ruin it.
No,
Google Jimmy Kimmel, and he's a left.
He's very left.
Yeah,
He's very left.
But he was on there when you. What year was it? When you
That was
were
2016.
So
yeah,
I'm not going to say Mike got in any trouble.
I did.
Well,
Well, kind of.
He posted something on social media.
Yeah.
And check out the interview. Just all you got to do is Google Jimmy Kimmel and Mike Webb, and it'll pull right up. I saw it through Venmo. I just laughed the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big of a deal. Nobody got hurt. It was just But I will say it's the nature of what you posted.
Yeah.
By today's standards, even though it wasn't that long ago, they probably wouldn't have made a big stink about it.
They wouldn't have. But
I post a lot of. I'm very creative with the things that I do. May not be directly, but I have no problems like Maude from The Big Lebowski.
Sure.
Certain men are intimidated by certain words. I have no problem saying that on social media. I'm on camera now. It's just a different time and place.
It is. And the interesting thing about that was how much coverage it got. One, it began as a Facebook kind of a thing. It was a Facebook phenomenon. Within 24 hours, 670,000 views come into Facebook. But at the time, and this is kind of how people kind of come to social media, I was simulcasting whatever I put on Facebook on Twitter. Twitter didn't move. Nobody went to Twitter at all. But because the Facebook got kind of attention, Noah Trevor did a whole spiel on it. Steve Colbert did a whole spiel on it. I finally made GQ magazine.
You made GQ magazine?
GQ magazine has got a story on it.
Cover.
No, not front cover. I'm buried in the obituary.
Dude, didn't AOC was on the front cover of GQ?
Yeah, she was.
She was. So good. Even though I don't agree with everything from her to some of the further left stuff. But more about Don Beyer. I'm just I have a solid platform that can match his easily, no problem. You know what I mean? And if any kind of things that he has on his, if you compare our websites and the items that are in there, mine are far more superior, and there's more of them. The one thing that you'll notice is that he uses something about racial justice, and I get that. I understand taking DEI to excess can be a progress trap. You know what I mean? It may not be that way in the district. I got a signature. Well, I didn't get a signature, but I talked to her outside of Pentagon City for like 30 minutes. She's military, and she asked me, that was like her number one issue. Like she'd gotten turnover for jobs. Quote, like, we're not going to give a black woman this job. And I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? In the military, and I questioned her about some of that. And so that was very important to her. So for me to say, I didn't say that DEI is a big deal, but I understand the balance. When taken out of balance, somebody who's not
true. And with Beyer, you have to understand he's a car salesman. And when he says DEI, he is doing a talking point. In fact,
it's general empathy. He's
from 2014 to when did Tanya Bradshaw come on? She didn't come around until 2020. He had no black people in his office. I would go up to his office all the time. I would ask, where are the black people? But what he did have, and this was kind of strange, on the way that you see a congressman, generally, most people don't know Don Beyer, wouldn't notice him if they ran into him in Walmart. And so they see Don Beyer in terms of what they see on Facebook, what they see on Twitter. They don't know what goes on in his office. They don't probably know where he lives. But what happens is that if you are a little bit further into that circle, you're closer to Don Beyer, you're going to go into his office and you're going to see this big picture of Buffalo soldiers that, I don't know, they weren't Buffalo soldiers, they were black soldiers in the Civil War. There's a similar picture over in the Smithsonian, and he had boasted how I now have a copy of this picture in my office. I go into the office and I'm looking behind this credenza. It's literally behind furniture, and it's not prominently displayed. But he has this picture, Don will say things because he wants to appease certain groups. So then what he actually does is entirely something else.
Alienated.
Don is he will tell you that he is for LGBT, he is for gay rights and all this. And Don is the only congressman on Capitol Hill that has a foreign flag outside his office. He has a Swiss flag
I don't
out.
remember. So I visited spontaneously. I went
Yeah.
over there once in
Yeah.
2020. It was just before COVID shut down. I had filed this provisional patent 6 months prior, and I was like, I went. It's really cool that just to be able to walk across the river here
Yeah.
for the most part, and then
Yeah,
be there. Just be careful. You knock down the wire.
yeah.
The lights too. So I went over there and there was a black woman that was working staff.
That was probably 2020 Tanya Bradshaw. She was the first.
Yeah, and then Buyer just
Now
kinda,
she's at VA.
yeah, Buyer just kind of came out of his office
Yeah.
and I gave him the flyer
Mhm.
and I kind of just had him there for maybe 5 minutes. He took a step back and he said, this is when Trump was in office. He said,
Sure,
we
sure.
have a president that doesn't support climate change, and then just walked away. And then that was it. Like that flyer that I gave him was like, it was about, you see it right there, so it's 11 by 17.
Sure.
And it was laminated and it was designed. So, I mean, in effect, I guess I was lobbying,
Yeah.
I hadn't started running yet. So,
Yeah.
and it was, it's not like I was offering any money either. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I would just-
Yeah, sure.
So I was just where I'm at right now. So, but just his reaction to it, and I kind of thought about it over the years, and just one how he's just such a pushover like that. You know what I mean? Like I've seen videos of Trump where he's like, what do you do if you get rid of fossil? Like he wants to know what do you do. That is that energy for infrastructure. God, and there's some other things that it's kind of like a spider web when you're trying to push new ideas like this out, getting people to relate to them. They're adopted. Parts of them are adopted, from here. This candidate may have similar ideas, just name difference or whatever. But like, just as far as like Byers' character goes, I mean, like we all have conundrums and things like that. But when when there are better candidates out there, chiefly myself, I believe, when you have, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Did you say that you don't have to say this, but when I saw you at the farmer's market last week, you said something that Byers was an atheist, and then
Yes. Yes.
because I took him
yes.
for a religious guy, you know what I mean? He went to a Catholic
He went to a
university.
Catholic.
But then
he went to Catholic high school.
So he backpedaled. So
He does.
I know
he
when the
does.
man talks, you listen to him, he doesn't make any sense. He's
Yeah.
a lot of things. If it's healthcare or that Medicare for all thing that I posted on the web, you know what I mean? But what did the insight,
Yeah,
the stuff that you've seen him like at events and things like that?
In fact, there is the Freedom from Religion Foundation, 2021 February. There's an entire article, not even an article. This is Don Byers speaking as Don Byer, and he tells us his entire journey through faith, beginning how he was born Catholic, beginning in his time in the Jesuit high school. And as soon as he gets to Jesuit high school, oh, the Jesuits did this to me, and the Jesuits did this to me, and I was turned off on the Jesuits. And okay, I understand you're having some issues, no problem. Eventually, he became Anglican, but then he continued to have problems with religion. The friendly atheist, there was a guy, Hemant. I forget his last name. He's one of the writers for the Friendly Atheist. They had done the article when he had joined the Free Thought Caucus, which is code name for the Atheist Club in Congress. Jamie Raskin is on it. Eleanor Holmes Norton, surprisingly, at first surprisingly, because she's a black woman. You normally think of blacks as being very, very religious. She's not, but actually only 23% of people go to church in DC. So it's really not out of line with the district.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take issue with that. The fact that he has struggled with his religious, connotations.
Sure.
I don't like doing that. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I don't go after it. But just if there's anything in there where, like, if one moment he's appeasing a particular group, and then all of a sudden he's appeasing another group, and it's completely opposite.
And
that's the problem.
And that's where he is now.
Like,
now he has gone to the point where he has kind of gone all the way as far as he possibly could.
And they
in
don't
terms of
acknowledge
being
why
able-
he's done it.
Oh yeah,
Either,
sure,
right.
sure. And now all of a sudden, now he prays every day. He goes to church every day,
Which is
and
fine.
I think it's more reaction to what he had prior, what he had said before.
Yeah.
In terms of maybe I went too far in terms of how, and he was very intentional when he decided that he was going to be proud that his four children rejected God, church, and religion. He literally says, "Let me get political here." Oh, and so now he's already stepped
He
people
does
up
it. A
for
bone comes out of his mouth almost every time when he talks.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what's that about, Don?
Yeah.
And then no one gets a chance to
Yeah.
control. Like a sleazy car salesman. There's this thing if you Google that, what to look out for.
Sure.
There's like 5 things. That's just one article that says this. Where one of those is controlling the conversation process.
Sure.
I think it's funny that in that movie Willy Wonka, the original,
Ah, yeah.
Sam Beauregard,
Yeah.
he was a car salesman and a politician, and he
Sure.
just did whatever his daughter wanted.
Sure.
Turns into a blueberry.
Yes.
I think
Exactly.
it's fascinating, just like
Exactly.
how they take a car salesman,
Yeah.
politician, and then just selling you useless features that you don't need. And we can do much better than Don Barr. And with my thing, I want to bring in Victoria Beersing and maybe anyone else who's been genuine through this journey
Sure.
with that there's responsible general welfare, fiscal responsible. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It's probably not MAGA. We're not going
Yeah.
for MAGA right now.
Victoria Beersing is actually a good example in terms of Don Beyer and this whole DEI. Before him, when the first primary, he was running against Bill Ewell, the former mayor of Alexandria, also Laverne Chapman. Laverne Chapman had money from Oprah Winfrey. She brought Oprah Winfrey in for a big fundraiser. But in the first race, 2014, Don Beyer, he basically went on his record. He said, I have federal experience, I have state experience. Nobody else has my resume.
But
And
doubling his net worth since being represented to 124 million.
Yes. Yes.
All the stock trades,
He's
all
made,
the PAC money.
and the interesting thing about Don Beyer, and I run into a lot of people that say, I'm proud I gave to Don Beyer.
Like $5 because he's never spent a cent of his own money campaigning.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And he probably thinks that makes him wicked smart or something.
Yeah. Well. I mean that buy low, sell high, get anything that you can.
Squash the competition.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I might do that myself, but I will come to you and take out the idea, talk about the ideas. Whose ideas are better? There's a thing the American Promise.
Oh yeah.
He signed a pledge that he says getting big money in politics makes a mockery of one vote. What a creep. You do that, you do the complete opposite and you're smiling in this photo. It's so alienating.
But
we got a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, but kind of getting back to bribe in terms of what is a bribe. This district, the incumbent, Don Beyer, even Scott McCaffrey and formerly the Sun Gazette, now he's got some new newspaper. He said that bookies wouldn't lay odds on anyone other than a Democrat winning in this district. It's just so blue. But why do you need $1 million to win in this district? You don't have to pay a dime to win in this district. But he raises $1.4 million to win in this district. You don't have
to do it. I'm struggling with signatures.
So the question is, why are you giving?
Far more superior.
Why are you giving? The question is, why are you giving Don Beyer money that he doesn't need? He's a multi-millionaire.
Because they don't know any better. We are just ran out of time, and I want to thank you for coming on. I want to know more about this bribe.
Oh, sure.
So you got court tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'll be in court.
Are there going to be more follow cases and stuff?
Yeah, there will.
Okay. So let me know. Let's stay in touch.
I will.
I'll post them on social media.
Yeah.
And see where this goes. The fact that he even offered somebody a bribe early on in his, it just keeps getting better and better. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.